Leslie Odom Jr., you're nominated for 2 Oscars, Best Supporting Actor and Best Original Song for your work in One Night in Miami, where you play music legend Sam Cooke. Now, you're only the 4th person nominated for acting and songwriting in the same year. Mary J. Blige, Lady Gaga, and Cynthia Erivo did that in recent years. So what did it mean to you as an actor and as a musician to be nominated for both of those achievements?
It means a lot, but I think it actually speaks to some positive changes in the industry over the years, rather than speaking to me being some kind of uh, special talent. I think that there are probably many performers throughout the ages that we would have seen this more and more if the industry wasn't so segregated and sort of, I don't know, if there weren't um, hard and fast rules about who you could be and how much you were allowed to be. You know what I'm trying to say? I mean, I think that they were, we could have seen Sammy Davis Jr. or, Lena Horne or Eartha Kitt, or, there are plenty of Josephine Baker and Gregory Hines, even one of my favorites. But I mean, I'm just saying there are plenty of performers throughout the ages that, if it didn't used to be kind of a thing where like a performer was a performer, wrote a writer was a writer, a singer was a singer, they just used to be very fewer people were allowed to break those rules, is all I'm trying to say. But now we're allowed to bring all that we are to the table more and more. And we're also telling a more um, we're starting to tell a wider, even wider spectrum of stories and stuff. So I think we're going to see it more and more. But it meant a great deal to me to be included with those three lovely ladies brilliant and lovely ladies that you mentioned, and to be a part of what I think will be a trend, and more than a trend, actually. I think will be something quite regular moving forward.
And it does feel like in the last few years, I think particularly since Hamilton, that entire cast became such breakout stars and crossed over into various other fields. And Cynthia Erivo that same year, as I mentioned, she got the 2 nominations last year. It feels like the worlds of like music uh, and performance
Right.
and all of that, it's really kind of breaking those boundaries in a big way that we're seeing. Like we didn't see that many Broadway to like film and TV crossovers in such a big immediate way like we're doing.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. I mean that we're really seeing that trend. I think it's probably been, there's a big difference. Of course, there were always those stories. I mean, Patti LuPone back in the day had that show on ABC, and many, Nell Carter went from Broadway to stardom. There was always Barbara, of course. There was always the Cinderella story. But as you said, that yeah, there's so many, there's a little crop of us right now. There's so many of us that were able to um, make the jump or the leap into these different mediums. I think part of that has to do with the tremendous success of Hamilton. It was just so it just it just made a big old splash. But that too, I think, is like there's less of I remember when I got out of school, even, I was thought of as a not even a theater actor back then. I was thought of as a television actor. I was building a career in television, which really meant back then, 15, 20 years ago now, that you didn't do film really. You weren't even small parts in films, went to a little group of people that they just cast in small parts in films. It really wasn't this, just a performer was a performer, a creative was a creative, wherever your talent led you, if that was TV, theater, music, movies, it just wasn't like that. So I think we've seen it's a really positive thing, that all that's been opened up. The internet has a lot to do with that too, but all that's been opened up. And so you can kind of go wherever wherever your talent can take you,
And playing this particular role, Sam Cooke, himself a real life legendary artist, like was that did that put the pressure on not just portraying a real person, but also kind of embodying him with your voice, your singing voice?
Yeah, what do you think? Yeah. Yeah, man. I yeah, I didn't think that I just imagined that there must be somebody um, more well suited than I. And that was also when I thought that they were going to be lip syncing. I thought that whoever played the role would be lip syncing, of course, because Sam is one of the most famous voices of all time. And there are people with signature voices that, we would love to see a biopic about these people, but we don't necessarily, we want to hear their voice, so, and we've seen that too, Rami did that and Angela Bassett did that. So we've seen that before, that it can really, really work, So that's when I assumed that. So I was like, I don't look all that much like him. I'm sure they can do a little something with makeup and stuff, but, and it also just seemed, it was daunting. But I'm glad that Regina saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And I owe her a lot.
And working with Regina King, this being her debut feature film, but she's directed for television, and also she's such an experienced actress, an Oscar-winning actress,
One of the best.
Emmy-winning actress.
Yeah.
As an actor yourself, does that sort of put you more at ease being in the hands of someone who has been on both sides of the camera like that?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And now before we were shooting, before we even started shooting, I knew that I would be in good hands as far as that was concerned, as far as the acting. And I was in even better hands than I knew, because she really did, whenever she gave me a thought or note about this guy or a moment, the she was giving me her perspective from both the inside and the outside. So it was as an observer. Here's what I see in the monitor while you're doing the scene, but also she kind of was playing the role alongside me. And I've talked to my brothers. I talked to Kingsley and Eli and Aldis, and everybody had a similar experience. Kingsley certainly did. He felt like he created Malcolm alongside Regina. So that's a great gift to have that, especially in a role that you are nervous about, to be playing it sort of in tandem with one of the great actresses of our time. That's that's a great gift. But she always, yeah, she always made me better. When she made that little walk from behind the monitor over to me, she always had a thought that was going to send me down a more uh, sometimes a funnier path, more entertaining path, a more truthful and more honest path. She just, anytime she had something to offer me, it made the performance better. And then she took care of us in the editing room too. Her and Tarek really gave us back something beautiful.
And the film tells the story about these four men, and it's developing this conflict between them as they're trying to figure out, well, how to be activists and how to bring about change in the world. Like, do you do it from working within systems and creating success, or do you do it from challenging those systems from outside? And I feel like these are obviously still uh, uh, issues that are debated now in terms of making revolutionary change. And as you were playing this, sort of conflict, where were you personally falling down on that one?
As I was playing it, I was totally in Sam's camp. I mean, in order to, Kingsley Benadir, so brilliant as Malcolm X, and such a generous scene partner and leader, really. Kingsley really, the whole evening hinges on Malcolm's energy. And the rest of us are playing catch up the whole time, and Kingsley was just so exceptional. But the way that I could uh, return the favor, I thought, the way that I could give him back something was to give him something to push against, was to push as hard against him as he was pushing, because he really was, he really laid down the gauntlet for us as, as characters, but also as actors, as scene partners. He was so great. So while I was playing it, I felt totally on the side of Sam because I had to. I had to be a foil. I had to be an opposing force. It's the central. That conversation really is the central drama in Kemp Powers's beautiful screenplay, Oscar-nominated screenplay. But afterwards, I sort of fall, somewhere in the middle. Meaning, I think that in any revolution, in any movement, there are positions, and you go where you can most be useful. Not everybody has the temperament for all of the positions, so everybody's got something to offer. You kind of look around and see where you can help the most.
And the song you're nominated for, "Speak Now," which you co-wrote with Sam Ashworth.
Yeah.
Did you always know you wanted to write a song for the film, or like what was the process of writing it? How did it come about?
Well, since I've been making movies, it's been a 5 years or so that I've been making movies. It's been something that I've wanted to do. I didn't necessarily know that I wanted to do it for this movie. I thought my hands were pretty full, but um, yeah, they asked me early on if I would be interested in doing that, and I thought it was an opportunity to bring more of myself to this project that had already meant so much, you know. So I jumped at the chance, and yeah, we saw an early cutting of the film, and we're just blown away by it. And we kind of sat there in that silence after change is going to come, and that quote comes up, and we sat there in the silence as the credits rolled and listened. We just listened to that side. What needs to fill this side? What is worthy to fill this silence? What do we need right now after having taken that journey? We kind of plucked the words and the melodies out of the air, out of that silence.
And the Oscars this year are coming up, and it's an unusual year, of course, with the pandemic, and all of the award shows have been a little bit different from how they would, and they've been different from each other and how they've handled it. Do you know if and how you're attending or performing at the Oscars this year? If we'll be getting those performances of the original song nominees, if you'll be part of that?
I am performing. I do know that. I don't know if it's a part of the telecast. There's a lot of televised events surrounding the Oscars, so I might be in one of those events. But I am singing the song, which I'm excited about, and I'm excited to celebrate all of the tremendous work in an impossible year, in a really um, just we lived through something that happens once every 100 years, if you were lucky enough to live through it. um, there was still beauty and great work and inspiring work being done. Nomadland, Sound of Metal, 40-year-old version. I really, Minari, I really was moved um, by the work that was done in cinema this year. So I'm just excited to be a part of the evening as a fan, and to be there to celebrate all of the um, tremendous work that was done. And that's buoyed that buoyed me and so many of us, that was a light, a light at times in a really dark year. So anyway, we're almost best whatever you do, that's superstitious, but we're almost on the other side of all this. We're almost back to some sort of normal, having freedom of movement again. And I know that the Oscars will look like we're used to them looking again. But um it wasn't as if people didn't shortchange their work this year. So I hope that we can show up in a couple weeks and not shortchange them on their celebration, you know.
And on a happy note, if you win one or both of your Oscar nominations, after having won your Tony and a Grammy for Hamilton, you'll just be an Emmy away from EGOT. So you're catching up to Lin-Manuel Miranda in terms of the totals.
I will never catch up to
notches.
Lin-Manuel Miranda. I will never catch up.
Well, interestingly, you could get Emmy recognition now that the Hamilton was shown on Disney Plus last year, and we've seen Lin-Manuel Miranda nominated for the Golden Globes, Daveed Diggs at the SAG Awards for it. So, like, what's it like this whole other round of people discovering Hamilton and potentially even getting more recognition from it after you did the fight that many times?
Well, Hamilton is it's very dear to me as a piece, beyond the fact that my whole career, I owe my whole career kind of to the show. It's just, the piece is dear to me. And so the fact that it has found its way into people's living rooms, really at a time when they needed it most. Maybe, I've heard from families, people with kids are like, we watch that thing every day for 3 weeks straight, or every couple days, I come out in the morning and my kid has it on, so the fact that it's been able to be there for people, and families have bonded around it, and again, it's been part of the light in a really dark time, really impossible time. Means a lot. So anyway, I think it should be celebrated every chance it can be. And then I also look forward to making some new stuff too. I look forward to making new movies, new theater projects, new music as soon as I'm able, because that's the other thing. Like, celebrating the work is fine and all that's wonderful too, but I got into it to make work. So I'm also looking forward to getting back to that.
And interestingly, you and Cynthia Erivo won your Tonys in the same year, and she this year is on television as Aretha Franklin in Genius Aretha. So you could win Emmys together too. You're like each other's good luck charms.
She is definitely my good luck charm. I love Cynthia. She's and she's getting everything she deserves.
Well, I think you're getting everything you deserve for this performance, and everything you've got coming in the pipeline. Hopefully, once the world is a little bit more back to normal, and like musical theater can return, and more filmmaking and more TV can return.
Amen.
Yeah, and I just want to thank you so much for your time, and congratulations again. It's been great talking with you.
My pleasure, Daniel. Thank you. Be well.
You too.